Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the wild viral predictions and the truly fascinating real science of human evolution. Now, if you spend any time online at all, you've probably seen those shocking AI-generated images predicting what humans are supposed to look like 1,000 years from now. But we have to ask, how much of that is actually grounded in reality and how much is pure science fiction? Well, today we're going to strip away the myths, look at what evolutionary biology actually tells us, and explore the incredibly bizarre, terrifying, and brilliant ways our species might actually transform. Right off the bat, let's tackle this bizarre idea floating around the internet that our modern technology is actively warping our physical biology. There is a massive viral rumor out there suggesting that because we spend all day hunched over our laptops and staring down at our phones, human evolution is going to literally mold our skeletons to fit our devices. I mean, it sounds like a perfectly compelling cautionary tale, doesn't it? But the actual science tells a very, very different story. The perfect example of this is a viral, completely unscientific concept known online as text claw mindy. Basically, it's this dystopian vision of humanity 1,000 years from now. The concept claims Mindy has a hunched back from poor screen posture, a hand permanently molded into a text claw, an unnaturally bent smartphone elbow, and even a thicker skull allegedly adapted to block radio frequency radiation. Oh, and to top it all off, she apparently has a smaller brain because we've supposedly outsourced all our thinking to artificial intelligence. It makes for a super clickable post, sure, but as an evolutionary prediction, it completely fundamentally misunderstands how natural selection actually works. To really understand why, we need to look at the reality of the evolutionary clock. Human evolution is a staggeringly slow process. I mean, it began roughly 6 million years ago when we first started walking upright. Even a relatively recent, simple change, like humans naturally evolving a tolerance to cow's milk, took thousands of years to develop. So when we talk about the year 3025, which is just 1,000 years in the future, we're really only talking about 35 to 40 human generations. In evolutionary terms, that is quite literally just a blink of an eye. It's absolutely not enough time for smartphones to naturally select for hunchbacks, unless for some reason having a hunchback drastically increased your chances of surviving and having children. And spoiler alert, it for sure doesn't.
Plus, we really need to understand that human appearance relies on highly complex polygenic traits. This is exactly why those AI image generators completely fail to predict our future faces. AI doesn't track genetic variants through hundreds of years of population data, right? It just looks at a prompt and mashes together existing images. But traits like height, skin pigmentation, and facial structure are polygenic. They're influenced by multiple genes constantly interacting with specific environmental conditions. It's like a giant, incredibly complex biological puzzle. You just can't calculate a future face using a simple algorithm. What's really cool about this polygenic diversity is how it beautifully debunks the myth that global migration will eventually result in one single uniform appearance for the whole human race. You've probably heard that one, right? The prediction that eventually all ethnicities will just blend into one homogeneous medium skin tone. But the actual evidence supports something way more beautiful and complex. Because these traits are polygenic, global travel and migration will absolutely create incredible new combinations of ancestry, but diverse pigmentation and facial features will remain genetically varied. So we aren't moving toward a single global face at all. We're moving toward a much wider, richer mosaic of combinations. All right, moving into Section 1, Radical Biological Redesigns, Engineering the Perfect Body. So, if natural evolution takes millions of years, what happens when brilliant scientists try to theorize what a perfectly adapted human body should look like right now, based on modern everyday threats? Well, enter Graham. Scientists literally designed Graham as an evolutionary thought experiment. He's built specifically to survive extreme kinetic impacts, like devastating car crashes. The structural changes are wild. He has an incredibly thick skull with extra fluid to cushion the brain, absolutely zero neck to eliminate the risk of whiplash, heavily reinforced ribs extending all the way up, and joints that can bend in multiple directions so they don't snap on impact. He is an incredibly effective survival machine. Even if, let's be honest, Graham might struggle a bit to get a date. Taking a totally different approach, Dr. Alice Roberts designed her version of the perfect human body by borrowing superior traits directly from the animal kingdom. She designed her model, Alice, with octopus eyes, to completely eliminate the natural blind spots humans have. She added cat-like ears to amplify our naturally failing hearing. She even separated the windpipe and the esophagus, which is brilliant, so we'd never choke on our food again, and gave her ostrich-like legs for vastly more efficient running. But the most radical change? A marsupial pouch. This would allow human babies to be born much earlier and smaller,
completely bypassing the massive danger and pain of human childbirth. Pretty wild to think about. Now let's take this thought experiment off-world. Dr. Alan Kwan hypothesizes that living in space could drastically reshape us over the next 100,000 years. If we end up colonizing planets way further from the sun, the much dimmer lighting could naturally select for massive, huge eyes. We'd probably develop larger heads to accommodate bigger brains, and darker skin to protect against the harsh UV radiation outside of Earth's ozone layer. And perhaps most startlingly of all, we might even evolve thicker, sideways blinking eyelids specifically adapted to block out cosmic rays in low-gravity environments. Pushing this to the extreme long-term, you have speculative works like Dougal Dixon's brilliant 1990 book, Man After Man, which imagines a future a whopping 5 million years from now. Dixon hypothesizes that humanity will eventually just bypass natural selection altogether through radical genetic engineering. He envisioned us creating highly specialized, completely unrecognizable human species, like vacuumorphs, bred specifically to survive the vacuum of space without any suits, and aquatic humans, engineered exclusively for deep ocean living. It's a pretty dark, dystopian vision where modern humanity basically goes extinct, leaving only these heavily engineered, almost animalistic descendants behind to survive. Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, the Transhuman Wildcard. Subtitle, Technology, CRISPR, and Directed Evolution. Here's the thing, our next major evolutionary leap, it's not going to take 1 million years. Why? Because we're actually learning to direct it ourselves through a movement called transhumanism. This shifts the focus entirely away from the slow crawl of natural selection to deliberate, rapid modification. It's the active, intentional blurring of the line between biology and technology. We are no longer just sitting around waiting for random genetic mutations to give us an advantage. We're essentially taking the wheel to enhance the human condition and our physical capabilities right here, right now. And look, this isn't just far-off science fiction. We are actively seeing the dawn of this right now with what scientists call living medicines. Take the real-world CAR T-cell therapy, NXC-201. Instead of just handing a patient a pill to mask their symptoms, doctors are genuinely genetically modifying that patient's own cells. They're re-educating them to become a living medicine that actively hunts down and destroys deadly diseases like amyloidosis from the inside out. We are fundamentally rewriting our own biology at a cellular level to cure the previously incurable. It's a real game changer. Fast forward a bit, and these living medicines are going to pave the way for some incredible integrations. Within the next millennium, we could easily see bionic eyes capable of X-ray vision. We're talking brain implants designed for photographic memory retrieval, which is basically putting a search engine directly into your neural pathways. Imagine microscopic nanobots constantly patrolling your bloodstream to fight off tumors the literal second they form. Some scientists are even theorizing about utility clouds of self-assembling microscopic robots. And of course, the ultimate transhumanist goal, eventually uploading our consciousness entirely to a server, essentially achieving a form of digital immortality. So let's look at Section 3, our most plausible future. Subtitle, Evolution in 3025. Okay, stripping away the viral myths of Textclaw Mindy and the wild sci-fi of space-dwelling vacuumorphs, what does the rigorous science say we're actually going to look like in 1,000 years? Well, the trajectory of the next millennium is probably going to be quite subtle on the outside. Step 1 is disease resistance. As climate change shifts our environments, our immune systems are going to actively adapt to new global pathogens. Step 2 is height and health. Average body sizes will fluctuate not from wild genetic mutations, but simply based on local climates and access to childhood nutrition. And Step 3 is tech integration. Artificial organs and neural implants will likely become completely ordinary, everyday upgrades. But keep in mind, cutting off your arm to attach a robotic one doesn't actually change the DNA you pass down to your kids. I absolutely love this quote from evolutionary scientists because it beautifully reminds us that our most profound changes are going to happen entirely below the surface. Think about it. If you were to meet a human from the year 3025, they would probably look shockingly ordinary to you. You wouldn't be able to see their incredible resistance to future diseases, you wouldn't see their altered reproductive biology, and you certainly wouldn't see the microscopic technology actively repairing their cells and extending their longevity by decades. The real human evolution of the future is going to be largely invisible. And that leaves us with one final, fascinating question to ponder today. As we learn to edit our genomes, build living medicines, and merge seamlessly with our own brilliant technological inventions to conquer our biological flaws, at what point do we actually stop being human? Or maybe is that relentless desire to constantly transcend our own limitations the most deeply human trait of all? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this completely changes how you look at the future of our incredible species.